So, AJ, tell me about what you've been working on. I hear you have a brand new project and I'm so excited to hear about.
Yes. Well, I just released about 2 weeks, sort of 1.5 weeks back, my sixth album. It's called Blow My Cover, and it's available worldwide for streaming, downloads, and of course also a CD and vinyl. So I'll show you. I'll show you the
Yes,
CD.
I want to see. I want to see.
Yep. Here is the CD.
Wow,
Here.
that is so cool. That cover, I like it. It's nice and clean, and there's something about that cover that's comforting and cute at the same time. I really like it.
It's an image of trust, basically. You got a seagull and a snake, and
Yes,
they are in nature. They're basically eating each other. But here
yes,
on the beach, they're having a good time together. You know, and that's
I
a
like
trust.
that. I like
Yeah,
that.
yeah. That's what I
Nice.
thought when I first saw this image. This picture was shot by a good friend of mine from Australia. And he was just showing me his pictures. He was on vacation here, and I saw this picture. I said, "Wow, this is exactly what I'm doing with my cover project." This project is very special because this project is also about trust. So basically, when during the lockdown, about two years back, when everything got shut. So all the musicians were like at the end of they didn't know what to do, including me. And so I went down, I sort of kind of went down the spiral, a little bit depression. And my girlfriend, she's a great coach. And she just asked me a simple question. Said, look, everybody is in the same situation, AJ. So nobody's got control over their lives. But tell me, why don't you think about something creative to do with that fact that you don't have control? So I thought, that's really good. So I thought maybe I should just give up control over my music, you know. So I made a list of about 25 musicians, and some of them I've worked with already, but most of them were musicians I admired. I've seen them or I've heard their music, but never worked with them. So I made a list, researched the email addresses or Instagram or Facebook or whatever was available, and sort of sent them a message saying, "Look, here are some songs. I chose the songs for them, which for my they've already been released. But if you have time and you feel inspired, why don't you do your own interpretation of those songs?" I won't say anything about the structure, what you want to do, how you want to do it. Whatever you do is great. And in whatever timeline you want to do is also great because I'm not going to follow up on this. I'm just giving my control over to you,
Oh, wow.
and that's it. So it was in May 2020, and I sort of forgot about it. I worked on my next album, Talking Loud, because I got inspired by this idea, and it kind of went up with me in terms of being creative. And in end of August, I got my first email from Chicago from a jazz musician who sent me a track. Said, "Look, here's a draft of one of your songs." So I listened to it, and it sounded great. But at first, I didn't know which song of mine that was. He changed it so much, and that was the beauty of this album. People who actually contributed to the album, they changed the songs to their own, how they would do it, to how they felt inspired by the songs. And some of the songs are so different uh, than the originals, which I've already released, that for me, living into those songs or getting used to those songs or singing those songs was actually like working on completely new songs. That was an amazing journey for me. So that's
That's
that's a, yeah.
amazing.
And I thought I'm gonna get maybe 2 or 3 songs from people. Everybody's got is kind of tight, and people are dealing with their own things. But I ended up getting 13 songs. Yeah.
That's
And beautiful
amazing.
interpretations, from all over the world. From Japan, I've a koto master. She's one of the best koto players in Japan. She sent me a song, and then people from my friend from Chicago, friend from France. So it all got together and created this beautiful body of work. And the only thing I've done on this album is actually sing and do some little bit of overdubs, very little. And to be honest, to my shame or to my honor, I would say I didn't play a single note of guitar on this album. Yeah. So that's
And I was going to
that's
ask you because you have that beautiful guitar behind you. I was like, did you
yeah,
play during that too? But you only sang. That's
yes.
impressive.
I didn't want to bring myself into that because I just wanted to leave the interpretation of the songs the way the musician thought it would be. So I just sang on top of it. I didn't want to, change too much, anything basically. I didn't change anything except I just added my vocals, sometimes a little percussion here or there. That's it. So, and I got people from New York, from Chicago, from Los Angeles, from Japan, from Tokyo, from Buenos Aires. I got a classical harp player who did an interpretation of my song. She I wrote to her, and because I saw her here in one of the festivals that we have, a classical music festival in near where I live every year. I saw her playing here, and I was really happy and kind of excited how she played harp, because normally harp is kind of angelic and kind of sweet, but she played it like a South American. It was really fiery. It was really good. So I thought this is the person. I like her style of playing harp. So I wrote to her, and she sent me a message if I got a score for my song. I said no, I don't have a score. That's the whole idea. You can do something with it any way you want. And she was extremely happy to be able to do a score music, because normally they get just sheet music and they play. And she got to do the score and finish the song just the way she wanted to do it. And plus, the feedback I got from the people, they were really grateful for the trust I had in them, and I was grateful for the trust they gave me, to. And there was not a single track I got back which I thought was sort of suboptimal. All of them were just great, great. Yeah.
That is incredible. Now, how do you put your trust into people like that to do your music, give your music justice? Because I know if it were me, I would be terrified out of my mind that I wouldn't be exactly what I wanted, or they would misinterpret the message behind it. So, what is it like putting that trust into someone's that way?
It was totally liberating. I'm telling you. At first, I've never done that before. Like you said, I have always full control over my music, all my
Yes.
albums, everything I released, full control. There's not a moment, not a piece of that, from production to promotion, not a piece of that which I'm not involved. And this new experience was a completely, mind-opening experience for me, because that changed my perspective about how to work with musicians. I feel that if a musician can actually live into the song, magic happens, you know, and that's what I that's a new experience and beautiful experience I had doing this album.
And what would you say was your favorite song on the album?
Oh, it's so difficult. It's so difficult. I mean, I love each one of those songs. I mean, the first song which I got, the first track, Little Boat, from the jazz musician, of course, that stayed. That sort of, sparked the whole thing. So I like the way he did it. It's completely different, than the original, and that's why I like it because I had to really live into the new interpretation of that song and even sort of change the way I sang, even change the words. And it was a completely new experience. So definitely Little Boat is great. And of course, the start, the opening song, Forget About Yesterday, that says it all about, you know, that's about, yeah, live now, forget about what all that happened. And that's what I aim to do with this album. Just live in the moment and live with your musicians and have trust.
That's incredible. And you know what? By doing this, you're sending such a wonderful message to the world to give trust, let go, and trust the process almost like not quite lose control, but not be in control of everything all at once. 'Cause I think I know me and a lot of other people have that problem, always having to be in control of every little thing. But
Oh,
you're
yeah.
showing us when you let go, beautiful things can happen, like your album.
Yes, exactly. That was the amazing thing. I never expected in my wildest dreams to get such a big body of work back. So many musicians, coming back and sending me beautiful music. It was all new for me. That's the beauty. It's actually my songs. I've already released them. I've sang them hundreds of times in live concerts. But when I got that back, I had to relive those songs because they were so different. But they're all beautiful. I also one of the songs. It's called Comedian. That's a song which is done by he was this kid was 17 back then when I got to know him. He plays the button accordion, those little accordions. Can
Oh,
you
okay,
imagine a
okay.
17-year-old kid playing a button accordion?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and he's a whiz on that. He's really good. And I got to know him because he had to do his graduation work. And he got in touch with me. He lives very close by and said, "Look, can you record some tunes for me?" I said, "Sure, come. I've got a studio, nobody's here, so let's record." So I recorded a couple of tunes for him, and it sounded so great. And he's such a young guy. So we started talking about, where did you get these songs? Who wrote? He said, I wrote those songs. I wrote those tunes. I said, wow, 17 years old, playing, writing your own music. It's amazing. Then we talked about this project, this experiment I was going through, with Blow My Cover. It wasn't an album then, and said, if you think you want to do something, sure. About 4 months later, after his exams, he had to finish his exams in school and graduate. He said, "Hey, I got one." And these are the little things, these little experiences for me, which was so amazing, which was so inspiring for me as well in terms of how the dynamics of excellent musicians work when they're given all the freedom to do things.
Now, if you could send your music to one musician in the world to collaborate with or work on your music, who would it be and why?
Oh, there's so many musicians I'd work with. I mean, I'd love to work as a songwriter. I'd love to work with Jackson Brown. For me, he's a god poet. His lyrics are poetry. There's so many things, and his albums are usually a go-to place for me if I'm somewhere caught in between something and or the other. If the life is kind of out of balance, I listen to Jackson Brown, and his music and his lyrics are just amazing. So for the songwriting, in terms of songwriting, he's definitely number one go-to for me. Love to work with him. I don't know where he gets his inspiration, so it's just poetry for me. And in terms of of production and producing, I'd love to work with people like Jonathan Wilson. He's worked with Roger Waters, and I think he's one of the most innovative producers. I'd love to work with him. Yeah, that's among others. There's so many other people I'd love to work with, but these are the two names sort of that pop in my mind.
Nice. And what's next for you now that this album's out?
Well, the next for me is first of all promoting this album.
Yes, of
I
course, like
have to
we're
go
doing
out with
now.
people, you know. By the way, this album is in the Americana music charts in the States, in the album chart, airplay chart.
Yay!
Yeah, it's just debuted at, it's pretty low, but it's in now. And it's
Hey, a
also
debut is a debut.
a debut is a debut, and it's also on the jam band chart in the States. Yeah, it's amazing. And
That is amazing.
yeah, it's very rewarding for me if that this kind of things. And radio stations are playing my music. There's also a lot of streaming going on with the singles. So I'm promoting this album right now, and of course working on new songs. Always work on new songs. I got concerts coming up as well. So it's going to be exciting and busy. My concept concert has changed completely since this album because I'm going to be on stage as a solo artist alone.
Yes.
But every concert, I'll have one or more guest musicians who some of them I probably never have played before because they could be local musicians and some of them. So it's going to be an experiment. It's going to be a jam, some kind of. And
Yes.
I'm really excited about that. So the first concert is in December, and in January I'm going to do an album release party, an official one. Yeah,
Lovely. That's
yeah,
amazing. I'm so proud of you. I mean, AJ, I've known you for years, and I gotta say,
I know.
your success just makes me so, so happy. And I'm really, really proud of you, proud of this album. And I can't wait to see the more reaction to it.
Thank you. It's great. It's great, and it's great to have that you have me here. Yeah.
Absolutely. It's been a pleasure. And I want to thank you so much for coming on. And I can't wait to talk to you again in the future.
Yes, we will talk again. Thanks a lot for having me, Sammy.
Absolutely.
The pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you. You have a wonderful day.
You too. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.